Welcome to the Collect Your Life podcast. If you're here in the comments on Facebook Live, let me know so that I can make sure that my sound and everything is working. We appreciate you for coming in on episode 4 of the Collect Your Life podcast. We again are available on Facebook Live, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. So if you're not following us, we would appreciate if you would please follow us on those platforms. We appreciate the continued support. Again, this is Collect Your Life Incorporated podcast. I am your host, owner, creator, and founder of Collect Your Life Incorporated. So tonight we are going to be talking about a book that somebody wrote that I know. We went to school together in college, and this book has a lot of topics that are really good for people, anyone, not just people like my age of the 30s, but everyone to get some good life lessons from, to get some good topics from, to good discussion from. So please, if you're watching on Facebook, share this to your timeline. This is something that you would want um, people would want to definitely hear this. So I'm going to first show you a flyer of her book, her project. Here it is. It is called Work Bay. The title already just sounds like this is going to be interesting. I read the book. I'm telling you, it's good. So, I'm now going to share with you just a video excerpt from her as she's talking about the book, and then we'll get into some discussion about these topics. Okay?
Good evening, guys. Thank you so much, Janessa, for allowing me on your platform, Collect Your Life, to promote and talk about my book. A little bit about me. My name is Veaunca. I live in a small town in Tennessee with my lovely family. As a young child, I loved writing, whether it was poetry, musical lyrics, short stories, but I wasn't willing or confident enough to share them with the world. But now I'm at that space where I'm ready to give you all this talent. And this is my first book called Work Bay. And ignore the not for sale sign. This is actually my draft, but I do have copies on the way to my house right now as we speak. And I want to talk about the topics centered around this book because it's more than just the color and the eye catcher, Work Bay. You know, it touches on, 3 points. And the first point is communication. We all have to know how to communicate. And for years, I struggled with it because I was so much in a box and I didn't know how to really say exactly what I wanted, or I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, to a point. So I was just in a shell and I didn't really speak my mind as much. So that's a little background on why I put this in it, because I had to be aware of myself to know, you know what, V, you have to communicate. And I hope you all get that message as well, even in relationships, marriages, friendships, all of that. You have to communicate to establish boundaries, which brings me into the awareness of the second point. You have to establish boundaries with people, because when you do not, you would allow your emotions when you're feeling low or down. You will allow your heart to put you in some pretty crazy places. And as one of the main characters in my book, Keena had to find out, she didn't have that communication with her husband, and she would overstep boundaries, with the co-worker and the work bay, so to speak. And she found out, that it didn't get her anywhere, and it caused her more pain in her life. But you have to read the book to check that out. And the third topic is the importance of counseling. I don't care who you are. If you are hurting, dealing with any type of hurt in your life, any past hurt, just anything, please go to counseling, or just schedule an appointment with a coach. Just schedule an appointment, because it's very essential. Hurt people. And I know it's pretty taboo to some families, and they talk you against it. You don't want anybody to know your business, or if you're more religious, let God fix it. But you got to realize that faith without work is dead. You can pray to God all day long to help him heal you and fix you. But he's looking at you like, okay, my child, I need you to do the work. I need you to run from temptation. I need you to contact this counseling service. Get in counseling. He put people on this earth to help us get through things. We just have to stay in community and not isolation. And I had to figure that out for myself. I had to become self-aware of that, and also be accountable for the places that I put myself in. Some things that happened to me, I did not have any control, but I do have control over healing. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to give my gifts to the world. So I want to thank you all for support, liking, comment, sharing. Go get the book, guys. You will love it. Thank you all so much again. Have a good night.
All right. So, again, the book is called Work Bay. And like I said, I already read the book. So, we're going to discuss these topics that come up in the book. The first topic that Veaunca mentioned was communication. Now, when I say communication is key in any relationship, but especially a friendship, family relationships, um, also for those marriages and all those things. It's very important. Communication. If you don't communicate, it's like, how is the other person going to know what you want or what you want to say? Or if you're not able to effectively communicate, that's one key thing also. So with this text, this book, it's not a long text. It's really good. It's on Amazon, and I'll again post the thing again, but communication is so important. When I say it is, it could be the answer to having a healthy marriage or having an unhealthy marriage, or having a healthy friendship or having an unhealthy friendship. Like, these, communication is really important. Um Communication could be the reason why somebody pulls away, or maybe you don't know how to communicate. Because even though, let's just take marriage for example, that's what a lot of people are looking towards, and they want to be married at some point in their life. Hey, I was married, so let's look at that. Let's look at communication. You have dated that person for, years, or however long you did before, y'all proposed and y'all went down and got married, and you had on your white dress, he had on his tux, all that. But you still do not know them. A key thing that my godmother told me before I got married Magnolia Tarver told me before I got married. She said, "You're marrying a stranger," and I said, when I read her advice card, because I had that, I was like, "You're marrying a stranger? What? What do you mean?" And quickly I learned what she meant. So, you have to learn that person even more. Even though you know them, you're in love with them, you still have to learn that person. You have to learn what ticks them off, how they communicate this way. And remember, you're always growing. You're not going to be the same person that you were when you first got married. I hope you guys can hear me. I don't see anything in the comments, so I'm guessing I'm good. So, you have to learn what ways, like, how can I communicate this way, just like with your children. Is communication is key there. If you have a child who does not respond well to yelling, to all this, which most children don't, you have to learn the best way to communicate with them. Okay, they like coca melon, so let me go this way. And oh, I'm glad you guys can hear me. So let me talk to them this way. I had to learn that as a teacher. Like, in my 10 years of teaching, in the first few years, I was like, y'all gonna listen to me because I'm the teacher and because I know it all. I got the letters behind my name. I'm trying to help y'all get y'all letters and all that. That was the wrong approach in my first few years. Again, you already know my backstory, that I wasn't trying to teach for long anyway, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Anyway, I wasn't trying to teach. I was trying to go to law school. So it was like, okay, this is a stepping stone to where I'm trying to go. But I had to learn how to effectively communicate in my classroom to my students. I couldn't yell at them. Like, with me, yelling is like, okay, kind of used to it. So it was like, okay, they should be able to handle it. However, you have to learn how to effectively communicate, both parties, like the man and the woman. You got to learn how to communicate with your wife or your girlfriend or your sister or your brother or whoever. You have to learn how to communicate. So this book, and somebody, I don't know, I haven't had a chance to tag her in the comments, but this book is really good, y'all. It's very well written. I'm an English teacher. It has a lot of detail, it has a lot of imagery, it draws you in, and I'm like, okay, I want more. But it's like it ends and you want more of it. So the communication piece is very important for any relationship, for anything. If you don't effectively, and the key word there is effectively, because you can communicate but not be effective. Like, in my classroom, I was communicating, but I wasn't effective to the people, to the children, to the students. They were like, whatever. So I had to learn how to effectively communicate. Just like in relationships, I had to learn how to effectively communicate. If I know that that person, love language is words of affirmation, or if it's quality time, or anything of that nature, then why am I going to, pursue it a different route if I know that they receiving gifts or acts of service is their main love language? My friends, okay, well, I'm gonna make sure I have this for them. You know what I'm saying? You have to know your friends, your family members' love language. Like, what is your love language? Me, in a way, I think I'm all five. To be honest, like, my top is acts of service and receiving gifts, because I love to put thoughts into gifts. I got gifts now on the way, personalized, because that's just who I am. But that's how I expect it back. So you got to make sure what you're putting out effective communication. You can't say that somebody is, oh, they're not communicating with me, but what are you doing? Make sure you're doing your part. Now, if they continue to not communicate, then we go back to episode 2 where we said allow grace, show love, no access. That's what we learned there. If they not communicating back, you give them that time to get their life, to collect their life, no pun intended. And then if they not collecting their lives, then all right, it's time to go back to allow grace, show love, no access to me. So then the next topic that she talks about is um, boundaries. And we just talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago. So boundaries are very important about setting those boundaries at at work, at anywhere, like setting boundaries. So the boundary that we're talking about here is like you can be friends with, you know, I don't see anything wrong with men and women being friends of the opposite sex. The thing is, if you cross a boundary, that's where you mess up, especially if they're married, you're single, or you're both married, and then you mess up and then you've gone too far. So whenever there's always things called distractions that come in your life, and I promise they come heavy. So distractions will come when you're lacking whatever it is in your life. So for example, you might have somebody approach you and give you that attention that you're needing from your spouse. That's a distraction. It's trying to get you off course. It's trying to get you from focusing on your husband. Yeah, they may be not giving you that attention, or your wife may not be giving you that attention, whatever the case may be. Don't lean into it. Set the boundary. Do not. And also setting the boundaries from the workday. Like we talked about this last week, setting your boundaries from work. When you get home, work should not follow you. Just being honest. Teaching does not follow me. Those will be emailed back the next business day. Okay? So the other thing that is topic that Veaunca was talking about in her text was counseling. Is very important. Like in our community, in the African American community, it's like sometimes it in the past, like when I was growing up, it was like taboo for somebody to have anxiety, or it was taboo for somebody to be depressed. It was like, oh, you'll be all right, shake it off, like all those type of things. But there was no real help there, and I don't know if it was just fear of like therapy is going to replace. I believe in some ways, and when I was talking to people in the older generation, I believe it was just fear of the unknown, fear of also that this is going to replace God. No, it can never replace God. It can never replace Him. This is what is to help, to supplement, to be there to build us up. So with therapy, it is so needed. Like when you go through different transitions, and in this past year I've gone through so many transitions I can't even count. I went from being married in 2020, in the beginning of 2020, to being separated, filing for divorce, and then in 2021 finally getting the divorce finalized, and being was a single mother when I left. So there was a transition then. My dad just recently passed. Like all these things are transitions, and transitions can cause for you to need therapy. You to need that. No, even if I didn't need therapy, because I remember one particular therapist was like, "When you have it together, I feel like you just need a life coach." So just having that person to talk to that's unbiased, because your friends and family, your best friends, they're gonna be there for you. That's a given. But having that person who is trained to talk to is different. And it's like you know that your stuff is confidential. It's not gonna go anywhere. Um, and I understand like having to find the right fit. Sometimes we're not trusting of people because we've been hurt so many times. Because I promise I've been there. I was like, I want somebody who I know I can trust, who I feel I can trust. So I have a therapist because, again, it's needed. Like it's not like um we're we're on this earth just to suffer, and that's not what it says. If we look in the Word of God, that's not it's not for us to suffer alone. And that's my next point is community. When you have that sense of community, when you have those people that are guarded around you, if your friends are telling you what you want to hear all the time, then they're not your friends. That's not a friend for you. That's somebody who's trying to set you up for failure. If they tell you stuff that you don't want to hear, that you know that, okay, I need to hear this, but I ain't gonna let them, make me seem like I'm the bad guy or, whatever, then they your friends. They trying to help you. They trying to tell you the truth and shame the devil, like they told us growing up. So counseling is very important. So in the book, there's a point in there where one of the main characters is going to therapy, and it's very important, and it's like you don't see that in our community, in the African American community especially. You don't see that in our community of people going to therapy. Like our the author Veaunca said in her video, in her intro video, she says, you know people look to really, like, God has me, but God, faith without works is dead. So if you're not going into um to work on yourself, you know that you have these things, you know that this is traumatic to you, you know that this triggers you. Why would you go into those places? Why would you want to stay in trauma? Why would you want to stay in darkness? Why would you want to stay in depression? Why would you want to stay in grief? There's no way. The way to get out of that is through therapy and Jesus and community. All these things are needed. They just like a child doesn't just need milk to grow. They need food. They need vitamins. They need all. You need all those things to help you grow into the person you are. Like, I don't have it all together. That's why I'm in therapy now. I mean, it's not like the therapy is every other day, every other week, but it's when I need somebody to talk to. Okay, this happened, so let's go back and divulge what happened, like what caused this, or what caused you to react like this, or maybe what triggered this. Because a lot of times, all we need to do once we go into therapy, all we need to do is probably forgive ourselves first. And then the next thing from therapy is to forgive others. You can't walk around and think that you're going to be blessed abundantly. You're going to get all these things that, okay, I'm going to get this. I deserve this. I deserve this. And you do. You are entitled to blessings. You are of a royal priesthood. However, if you not walking in forgiveness, you're not walking in love, baby, those blessings going to be on hold until you collect your life. And that is just point blank, period. If you do not get your forgiveness, get your stuff in order, those blessings gonna be locked. You wonder why you got so much going on. Your days are already gonna be full of trouble. So why would you sit up here and not forgive? Forgiving, people think that that means that we're going to go back to where it was. When I told people that I forgave, this person for doing this person for doing that, some of them were looking at me crazy, like I still want to fight them. And I had to say no, like, they're not worth it. That's between you and them. That has nothing to do with me, because I'm forgiving them doesn't mean it's a reconnection. And that's something that we have to understand. Just because I forgive you don't mean it's gonna be a reconnection at all. Like, that's just point blank, period. It's not gonna be a reconnection. So, like we're just gonna do a recap. So we have the book Work Bay, and when I tell you it's about 35 pages. It's not even that long. It's like you'll read it probably in one setting. That's how good it is. Like, you're going to want to keep going. You want to keep going. And so, and I have like a few more minutes. And so when you read it, you're going to be like, wow, this was so, you know, good. I wasn't expecting this to happen at the end. I just really can't wait for you guys to read it. It's available on Amazon, and Veaunca Brooks is the author. And when I say it is detailed, it gives you imagery, it gives you so much suspense. It is really good. Work Bay is good, because when I tell you, just being transparent, When I tell you that distractions and people will pop up when there's stuff going on at home, if you're married or whatever, it will pop up. And so you got to make sure that you're guarded, you're grounded, and everything. If you're married or even if you're single, distractions will come for you to, like, even now in this season of my singleness, I still have to make sure I'm grounded in my beliefs, in my word, and everything that I'm supposed to be in, because things like work days can come, and then I could be in this situation that you will read in this book, hopefully. It is so good. And so it's available on Amazon. I believe there's a Kindle version. That's what I bought because I had to hurry up and I had to read it. And then there's a paperback also, so you can get the paperback. I'll probably go back and get the paperback because paperbacks are just it's so much better for me to write stuff down and write and annotate in the book. I'm an English nerd, so that's probably why I'm an English teacher. So again, this book Workday is so good. Again, it focuses on communication in all relationships. It's very important for you to communicate effectively. That's the key word there, is to effectively communicate, because there more than likely is communication all the time. However, the communication doesn't is not effective. That's the key word. So effective communication. We have to have effective communication in all relationships, with our jobs, with our family, with our friends, with our romantic relationships and marriages, especially. You got to be able to communicate. That's one of the reasons why people are being divorced. A lot of the top reasons is communication, amongst other things. So then the next thing that we talk about is boundaries. What we talked about 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, in episode 3, boundaries. Having those boundaries. You have to set boundaries around people in your life, um, commitments like work, everything. You have to set those boundaries. Because again, like we talked about last week, you cannot pour from an empty cup. The last topic from this particular great piece of literary work is counseling and community. The sense of community. You have to understand and be open to therapy. You have to be open to you have to be open to counseling. You have to be open to therapy and see when you're constantly doing lashing out, you're constantly having these bits of anger, or you're having something, even if you're not even having anger, you just don't feel like yourself. This is where you need counseling. Even good, and also with marriages, even if y'all are a good, healthy marriage, you need to have counseling. I would say about every 6 months, because it's good for y'all to have an unbiased person in, somebody you both trust, or if it's a couple, of course, if you would like a couple to counsel you, a couple that you both trust to come in and look at things. Okay, this is what's going on, and give you an actual educated opinion about those things is really important. And also the sense of community. Community is really important. Having those people is some people that you have in your life that you won't have, that you don't have to talk to every day. There's some people in my life, there's about 2 that I talk to every day, and that's it. So you don't have to talk to everybody every day. That's understood. But when it's time for them to step up, when you need them the most, you can set up, okay, these my road dogs. These are my ride and lives. I'm not gonna say ride or die. We living out here. Ride and lives. My ride and live people, where y'all at? And they gonna pull up, because that's your community. And that's who you need around you to surround you in all that. So again, I'm gonna put this picture up so you guys can see. It's Workday, available on Amazon. Veaunca Brooks, a beautiful person, wrote this. It is really good. So make sure you go and find, make sure you go and find this book, read it on the Kindle or get the paperback. But I promise you, it will be a buy that you will not um you will not be mad that you bought. Also, we have topic podcast topic suggestions. We have different ways for you to send us those suggestions, and I promise we have them in rotation. A lot of you may be thinking that, oh, my topic was this, but you never knew what we had in our rotation already. So I promise you, we are going to get to those. So the way to submit your podcast topic suggestions, you can do that by sending us a message on Facebook Messenger. You can also send us a message on Instagram, or you can email us at collectyourlifeincorporated.com, and we will look at those and put it in our rotation. I promise we are going to get to every topic. And again, we just appreciate you guys for coming to our podcast. In our last ad for the night, we have a Collect Your Life wish list that is on Amazon. If you would like to sow into our business, we have a wish list available for you guys to purchase items that we're launching. We're expanding our merchandise line. And also, we have the options to do PayPal with Janessa921 at gmail.com, or you could Cash App us at $ Nessa, Nessa, capital J 1908. Any donation, and you will receive $5 off any product or service. As we already expressed, we are more than just a bi-weekly podcast. We are also and have tutoring and writing services, and we also are expanding to our merchandise line, which is why we have the wish list on Amazon. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in to us, and we thank you for being a part of Collect Your Life Incorporated. And we want to thank you for watching and listening. And we'll see you next week, November 5th, for our episode 5.